Welcome to the spooky podcast. Well, no, what am I doing? Sorry, let me do this over. Okay. Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the spooky podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the scariest tabletop gaming experience ever scarily possible. My name is Gabe.
My name is Jeff.
And we're going to answer your creepy questions, but first, I've got a creepy question. Jeff. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm really creeped out now. No, I'm doing good. I'm doing fine. That's the weather's starting to cool down, which I'm all for.
Yeah.
I don't like freezing cold weather, but I like it chilly.
Yeah, I was just telling you before we started recording that I had quite a bit of time to sit around at work yesterday, and it was really cold in my workplace, and I didn't bring like a hoodie 'cause, it's been so hot.
Yeah.
I didn't think to, and at one point I got up to go to lunch early because there wasn't anything else to do, and then I decided, nope, the AC is on in the lunchroom. This is even colder than it is back at my workstation. So, it's been pretty chilly.
Yeah. Oh man. No, it's fall. It's Halloween season. It is. It's sweater weather, baby.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I hate it when it's really hot and then I have to wear like shorts and stuff and like I feel like a scrub because I'm just like sitting in like I don't know, like athletic shorts that I wear because they're just the most comfortable.
Yeah.
And I just sit around in that all the time and I just like I feel like I feel like a putz or a scrub just kind of like hanging out in my like just in an undershirt and some shorts and just hanging around the house sweating and then like ugh.
Sure.
But then I hate it when it gets like cool outside or like it's where it's like cold but not too cold enough, or like no, what I hate is when it gets cold to the point where everybody turns their heat on.
Okay.
And so like you have to dress warm because it's cold outside.
Yep.
But then you get inside and then I'm just sweating and I'm miserable but I have to wear long pants because it's cold outside. If I go outside, I'm going to catch a cold or something, So
well, you need those pants that you can zip off the pants and then become shorts.
Oh God. Yeah. Or like just, breakaways or something.
Yep.
But it's spooky season.
Yes. So as listeners will know by now, this is the Halloween episode. It feels a little weird because this episode is going to be going out like 4 or 5 days before Halloween. I would always love for it to go out on Halloween, but that would mess up our entire schedule. And you can't put it out after Halloween. We may have done that in the past, but I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah.
No more Halloween episodes after Halloween. I guarantee it.
Right. Yeah.
So I've actually had a couple people in previous years tell me that they don't like the beginning of our Halloween episodes because they have that scream at the beginning. And I got to say, sorry.
Too bad.
It's going to be there. Exactly. So today is going to be our Halloween episode. So this is going out in the week of Halloween, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
All month, so all of October, I've been watching a horror movie every day, and I've been posting a lengthy review for each one on the Discord as well as on Facebook, or on my Facebook, not on the podcast's Facebook. And Jeff, I wish I'd never started doing this because it's so much work.
Oh, Gabe,
that's like 45 hours or more that I have to put into watching the movies. To an extent, I can watch them while I'm working, but I can't do that as well as I could have in previous years. My current job, like the position I'm working at my job, isn't as good for watching movies while I work as my last one was. So it's hard. I got to set aside time to watch a movie, and then I got to come up with, real thoughts about this movie and really put those thoughts into words. And it's tough.
So there's a key difference between Gabe and I that I don't know if people have noticed. Whereas, when we'll both come up with some good ideas for like cool projects that we can do. Yeah. See, what I like to do is I come up with a fun idea or project, and then I think about doing it, and then I don't do it because I'm terribly unmotivated. And then that's it. And then that's all that happens. But when Gabe thinks of a good idea, he goes and does it. And then he realizes later on that it's like, wow, this is actually a lot of work. But he at the very least has a cool thing at the end of it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, my life is littered with projects that I started and didn't finish. So,
but I mean, you at least start them.
Yeah.
So you got that going for you. And like, I commend you. And like, you always put out good content.
Sure.
Like, you're always putting out good stuff. I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm more trying to make fun of myself.
Sure.
But no, where is there like, do you just have it on the Discord and on Facebook? Is there like a place where you put it all?
So, there isn't like an ongoing document anybody can go and look at. Like on the Discord, it's just on our media recommendations channel.
Sure.
So maybe I should like compile them into something. I actually thought at one point, hey, maybe if I have some extra time, maybe I could like record them or something.
Sure.
But I don't know.
No, Gabe, that's another project. Stop it.
I know. Maybe in January, we'll see.
Gabe, no. Well, I mean, at the very least, what you could just your posts on Facebook, you could just copy and paste those, into a blog website or something,
Shoot, I mean, I could be using I guess our
Sure.
podcast blog is for our podcast, and it's not really
right.
a podcast
Yeah.
thing.
But I got plenty of friends who are horror enthusiasts, and I was like, oh, you guys should check out my friend's reviews on all these. Like you've been doing this for the last 3 or 4 years?
I think 4 years, yeah.
Yeah. Or like 31 days of horror movies? Yeah.
After the first year, every year I'm like, I'm not going to do it this year. But then people are like, no, Gabe, you got to do it. I enjoy reading those, Gabe. You have to read those. You have to write those.
Yeah, they're good. I like it. Like,
I guess.
I get to brag that my friend does these movie reviews, every year.
Well, maybe next year I will make like a dedicated blog for them. And
yeah.
So anyway, the lesson here, everybody, is that Army of the Dead is a very, very good movie.
Oh, yeah.
Go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's the best movie I've watched so far. And we're recording this on the 16th, spoilers.
Right,
so I'm only halfway through the month, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the best movie I will have watched this year.
What's the worst one so far?
Oh boy. So the worst one has been Mulva Zombie Ass Kicker.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought you were going to say, because I saw your review of that one.
As I said in my review, I don't know to what extent you can really call that one the worst movie, because I'm sure it was intentionally bad. But
sure.
I think that even making an intentionally bad movie, when you do things poorly, is still a bad movie.
Yeah.
You can make an intentionally bad movie and still do a good job of it. They tried to make a bad movie and failed.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So join our Discord at bit.ly/InterPartyDiscord and look at my movie reviews, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess enough of all that. You want to get into this episode?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, Jeff, I want you to imagine that it is October 31st.
Okay.
It is All Hallows Eve. And also imagine that you're in a world where it's socially acceptable for a grown man to go trick-or-treating. That would be the dream, of course. So you're out trick-or-treating. You've got a big pillowcase. I always used a pillowcase when I was a kid. I don't know what everybody else does. You always see you can buy little treat bags, but they're freaking 6 inches across. No. Take a pillowcase.
Right.
So you've been taking a pillowcase, going around your neighborhood. You've got what's your costume, Jeff? Here's some improvisation you can take part in.
Shoot. I am a gourmet chef. I am Emerald Lagasse. So I have which is an actual costume I wore when I was younger.
Are you okay?
I got a chef's the white jacket or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know what you call that. I'm sure there's a name
I think it's
for
just
it.
a chef's jacket.
Yeah.
So you're walking around. You've got a little jar of emeralds.
It's just his spices or something.
Got some essence of emerald in
right. It's
little
Cajun
can.
spices or something like that.
Yep. And so you're going around, you actually found the house that gives out full bars. So like you've gone back there a couple times. You put on like a Mario Batali costume, and then you put on a Bobby Flay costume. And then,
yes,
Morimoto. You go back a few times. And
Rachel Ray.
Rachel Ray, yes. And you got your loot of your bag of loot, your bag of ill-gotten gains, and you head back home. It's getting late, you don't want to be out too late. And so you overturn your bag, you dump out all of this candy. You're looking in there, you've got some Snickers, you've got some Butterfinger, you've got, a Ring of Protection +2. You've got all the stuff you'd expect. But then you notice that also in here there's like a rolled up, it's like a roll of parchment.
Huh.
And you think, oh, that's weird. You did remember there was that one house where there was like you saw through the door, there was like a giant pile of gold in there that somebody was like sitting. It was like in front of the TV, so like the homeowner was presumably sitting on the pile of gold. And you think they might have put that in there, so you take it and you start to unroll it. You unroll it and you see that it's a map of your neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And it leads back to that house for some reason. I don't know why.
Right.
Don't look too far into this.
Yeah, no.
And then you realize what this is a map to. And do you know what that is, Jeff?
What's it a map to?
It is a map to the Dragon's Hoard.
I kind of really like the image of it's like just like I don't know, like it's just your typical like suburban house with dragons sitting on a pile of gold watching like television, just watching like late night television or something, or like it's like a shopping network, but it's like shopping for like magic items or something.
There you go. That's perfect. So today's magic item was submitted by Reddit user TheManZ420. And the item is we're actually covering 2 items today. And these items were actually created by Instagram user bonus_action. And they created a few Halloween themed magic items. We're just going to be covering 2 of them today because they go together very well. The 2 magic items we're going to be covering are Trick and Treat. Mm-hmm. The 2 of these are rare magical daggers. They have the finesse, light, ranged, and thrown qualities. They both require attunement. And in addition to being a +2 magic item, each of them gives you a +2 to attack and damage rolls. They each have at least one unique property. Trick has the reaction of deception quality. When you are the target of an attack, you can use your reaction to swap places with a creature within 30 feet of you that you can see. The creature you want to swap places with has to make a wisdom saving throw, DC 15. On a failed save, you swap places. On a successful save, you do not swap places and remain the target of the attack. A willing creature may choose to fail the saving throw. The movement is instantaneous and does not provoke attacks of opportunity. You may attempt to swap places twice per long rest.
Cool.
If you are also attuned to Treat, which is the item we'll get to in a moment, the DC increases by 3, and you may attempt to swap places 3 times per long rest instead of 2.
That's really cool.
That is really cool.
That's a nice little like set bonus kind of thing where it just makes it just a little bit better.
Yeah. So that was Trick. Next up is Treat. The first ability that Treat has is Sweet Craving. Whenever you make a critical hit with this dagger, you regain an amount of hit points equal to half of the damage you deal with that attack.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Especially if that includes sneak attack.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure. That's whenever you make a critical. Woof.
Yeah. Yeah, that's intense. That's
good.
That's pretty powerful. The next ability is called A Small Gift. Once per day, when another creature within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can use a reaction to lower the damage by an amount equal to 2d4 plus 2. You may use this feature once per long rest. So it's kind of like you're immediately giving them a potion, mechanics-wise.
Sure.
Trying to think of exactly what that would look like flavor-wise. I don't know. We can get to that in a second. But then if you are also attuned to Trick, you may lower the damage by an extra d4, and you can use this feature twice per long rest.
Nice.
So
that's pretty cool.
These are both really, really cool.
Yeah. Like, They're pretty powerful, but not. I definitely would not say these are overpowered. I think rare is probably about right.
Yeah.
Maybe very
rare. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, rare might be okay because it's like if you're only getting one and not the other, but I think the idea is you'd want to have both. So I think both of them, if it's both of them, they're very rare. I don't know. Like I don't know why making that distinction is that important. But
sure. I mean, rarities and whether something requires attunement are kind of arbitrary to an extent.
Yeah,
there's a lot of leeway.
Not a lot of people use the like treasure tables and stuff like that, where it's like, if they defeat this if they go through this level of dungeon, you roll on these tables and get 4 rare items and 1 very rare item or whatever. Like,
sure,
people are just going to give out the magic items that they want to give out.
Yeah, I just had an idea for what the flavor-wise, what the small gift ability looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So your ally, a goblin, runs up and like hits them with a morning star or something. And then suddenly from the wound where they've been hit with the morning star, candy shoots out.
Like the pinata.
Like a pinata, yes.
So they just, then they go,
And they're so busy. It's not that they dealt less damage. It's that they were too busy enjoying candy to they didn't actually hit them.
I'm sure.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense. So yeah, I think this is a really cool little pair of items. This user bonus action also created a couple other items that are also Halloween themed, and those were really cool too. But I just thought that trick and treat was just a great little combo to include on this episode.
Yeah, I like it. It's really cool.
So yeah, once again, that was Trick and Treat, created by bonus_action, submitted by themanz420 on Reddit. So thank you very much, themanz420. Jeff, if anybody else wanted to submit magic items to the Dragon's Hoard, or they wanted to submit questions for our main segment, or stories for the funeral pyre or retirement village, how would they get those to us?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com or join us on our Interparty Discord at bit.ly/interpartydiscord.
That's correct. And before we go any further, we have a giveaway to give away today. Today we're giving away a copy of the Witch Class supplement from Seawood Scribe on DM's Guild. It's a great supplement. It's got a bunch of stuff. It's a new class. It's got subclasses. It's got spells. There's so much content in this thing. It's amazing. I love it. It's so cool. So Jeff, who is the winner of this great supplement from Seawood Scribe today?
Today's winner is Michael T.
Whoa, winner! Yes, congratulations, Michael T. You should be getting that in your email pretty soon. Once you get it, look it over. Let us know what you think. Also, be sure to let Seawood Scribe know what you think. Leave them a review, because the more reviews that they get, the more they can know to make products better in the future, and the more attention that they'll get on the internet as well. And then I also wanted to say that Seawood Scribe has actually made has several other classes and subclasses that are on DM's Guild, which are really cool. So I think the Ghost class we mentioned before, the Ghost class is on there, and that one is free. It's pay what you want. You can go and get that. Seawood Scribe also came out with a supplement called Oberon's Guide to the Courts of Power, it's focused on the Feywild and political intrigue, and has rules for social combat.
Oh, cool.
I know we were talking, in one of the recent episodes, we were talking about, what if the game had mechanics for, social combat, I guess, or something like that. So Seawood Scribe is on top of that.
Nice.
So go and check that out. Once again, it's Oberon's Guide to the Courts of Power. So go check that out. And again, just lots of other stuff from Seawood Scribe, lots of other classes, lots of other subclasses, a bunch of which are horror themed and were in Strahd's Manual of Shadow, which we gave out last year. So,
nice. Yeah,
lots of cool stuff. Go check that out. I did want to mention that this month's bonus episode is out on the Patreon. So I know we ended the top 2 tiers on the Patreon last month. Right now it's just the $1 tier, and it will be the $1 tier for the foreseeable future. However, we had already recorded a horror themed actual play, which is titled The Backrooms, based on an internet meme or whatever of the same name. That's out. So go check that out. We did the Terrible RPG along with Skylar and Peter. Same people that we did the Ghost Ship one that went out last year. And so if anybody wants to listen to that, you can just join our Patreon at $1 and then download that and, hundreds of hours worth of, maybe not hundreds, but a couple 100 hours worth of other content, outtakes, bonus episodes and such that are on there. Also, last year we did an actual play, a Halloween actual play that was based on the movie The Thing. And I'm actually going to be putting that on the main feed on Halloween. So like what I did last year. Last year, I put out a little bonus on October 31st. I put out the Ghost Cruise episode on Halloween on the main feed. I'm going to be doing the same thing with the What's It, is what we were calling it.
The What's It.
So, so if on October 31st, listeners, you have an extra episode in your feed, that's what that is. Go listen to it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, just wanted to let everybody know about that so it doesn't come out of nowhere. And of course, to say thank you to everybody who did support our Patreon. We do still have many people who are continuing to contribute to us. Most of them in smaller amounts, and that's fine. It's just really cool that people are still willing to support us, even now that the podcast is ending and everything. So, and then one more quick thing, check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. Check out Crit Academy, critacademy.com. Crit Academy just put out an episode that was about how to make a good horror game. We'll be getting into some stuff about that in just a minute too. But that episode's a lot of fun, so go check them out. Also check out Brute Force and Ignorance. They're an actual play podcast on the network. And then, the others are on hiatus, of course. But check out D&D Character Lab and the Kind GM podcast. So lots of great stuff out there. Enough of all the admin, Jeff. Let's get into some questions.
All right, our first question comes from Thanen on Reddit, and they ask, how do you make a spooky horror adventure? Yeah,
so this year what we're going to be doing for this Halloween episode, I know last year we made a bunch of horror villains based on horror movie icons.
Mm-hmm.
And so this year I was thinking that we could take this and we could kind of just like make an adventure. We'll brainstorm an adventure on the podcast and see how it turns out, I guess.
Sounds good.
So I was thinking we could start off with the 5-room dungeon as a framework and then come up with more stuff as we see fit. So for anybody who has not listened to one of our previous episodes where we talked about the 5-room dungeon, it's a pretty simple framework for an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be literal rooms. It can just be like this part and then this part and then this part and so on.
Right.
The first quote unquote room is the entrance or guardian. So if there's some sort of an obstacle they have to overcome at the beginning to get into the dungeon, that's room 1. Room 2 is a puzzle, role-playing, or skill challenge. So something that involves probably rolling dice, something that involves some thinking about overcoming a puzzle or whatever.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so it's something like the party might talk amongst themselves how to solve the situation.
Sure. The third room is a setback or red herring. So maybe in like a dungeon or something, it could be like, oh, it's a dead end, or something that makes them think they've found the end of the dungeon, but they haven't.
Right.
Room 4 is the actual boss fight, like the big encounter. And then room 5 is the reward or twist. Mm. So it is the end of the adventure. Either it sets up further adventures or just gives a note of finality for the end of the adventure.
Yeah.
So using that, let's come up with a horror adventure.
Sure.
A cold wind blows as you approach the rickety old mansion, Metronome Manor, as the locals call it, perched up on a hill overlooking the dark forest. As the sun begins to set, you hear a faint pulse in the distance. Could it be just the shutters rattling in the wind, or something inside?
I was thinking we could go along with, I'm just trying to think of like what are some typical horror settings. I gotta love a good haunted house.
Right, yeah.
So does that sound good to you?
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. I know when we talked about like what our favorite dungeon is, my favorite dungeon was a crypt. And don't get me wrong, I love a good crypt, but when it comes to like just like what's this horror adventure going to be based around? Gotta love a haunted house.
Yeah. And I feel like we talked about doing haunted houses before and like how tricky it can be.
Okay.
Like
maybe I should have picked something easier then.
Well, no, I mean it'll be a fun exercise. But yeah, because like I feel like how haunted houses can be tricky to be challenging because of all the capabilities of a player group.
Sure. So let's start with room 1. Let's say that you got to come up with an entrance or guardian. It doesn't necessarily have to be the literal entrance to the building.
Right.
But maybe it's like they walk into the foyer and, there's some sort of something spooky going on or some sort of an obstacle that they have to overcome before they can really explore the house.
Right. Yeah. It could be as literal as like, I don't know, the thing haunting the house shows up immediately and makes its presence known. And, that's why like the mechanic in Pathfinder 2nd edition, of haunts.
Yes.
Where there's an actual mechanic called haunts where it's basically like a trap sort of.
Mm-hmm.
It's a trap encounter. Where a thing happens and then the players have to deal with it, and like it has like a stat block, not so much unlike a monster or something, but it's usually more specific on how you have to deal with it.
Okay.
Where like the one that we had to deal with was there was like a stain, like a blood stain on the ground that if you wiped it up, that actually got rid of the haunt.
Okay, yeah.
That kind of that rather than just outright attacking it.
Sure.
You can like find a way to get rid of it.
Sure. Speaking of haunts, actually, when Pathfinder the game first started and they did their first adventure path was Rise of the Rune Lords. The second adventure of that kind of does take place in a haunted house. And I think that was where they first put out the haunt mechanics. And in that, there was a haunt in the first room of the mansion. And I think there was like a big stuffed statue of a manticore. And when you first enter the room, when you first walk by it, nothing happens. You get like a whiff of sulfur or brimstone or something. You like smell like something's burning. Mm-hmm. And then if you come back to that room later, the statue comes to life and like shoots fire at you or something.
Oh, cool.
So one idea that I had for like what the entrance or the guardian for this particular dungeon could be is they come up to this creepy haunted house. And then when they get there, they walk inside and then the door disappears.
Okay.
So like for whatever reason, they are trapped inside this house.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you think of any sort of things like, let's say they try to make some skill checks in order to leave the house. Like let's say they try to break a window or God forbid, like hack through the wall or something. Can you think of anything that would happen to deter them?
Huh. Well, I don't know why, but what immediately came to mind is like the house is alive or something. So like, it will have some sort of defenses, or if they start hacking at the walls, it's like hacking at flesh or something that grows back quickly. Stuff to stop players from doing a thing is tough.
Yeah.
I feel like, because like once they get the idea, like, oh, we're just gonna hack our way out of the wall here, and you go, okay, well the walls grow back, and you're like, all right, well we'll hack harder then.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah, you kind of have to be pretty direct in your like, hey, nope, this isn't working kind of a thing, or make the consequences like of trying that. Like there's an adventure. I won't say which adventure it is so I don't spoil it. Where you're trying to destroy a cursed item.
Okay. I think I know which adventure this is.
And you end up finding somewhere within the adventure, you can find this like magical weapon. And if you attempt to destroy the cursed item with the magical weapon, if you hit it, it basically lets out a huge blast that does a bunch of damage to everybody.
Oh, okay.
And like, but it does damage the cursed item, and you realize, okay, if I hit it again, I will definitely destroy the cursed item, but it'll also destroy the magical weapon and do that blast again.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, if we can do this, but it's gonna hurt kind of a thing. So you could do like, if they try to hack at the wall, there's a big blast of energy that hurts everybody. And it's like, all right, well, maybe this is possible, but we're all going to die in the process. Like,
okay.
So have some sort of, like retaliation, some sort of reaction to any attempt to escape that is clear that, like, if we try to do this, we're definitely going to die.
Okay. So I would say then maybe, so two things, because I was going to say before you start talking about all that, which is a great idea, I was going to say, like, maybe rather than just trying to deter them from hacking through the wall, because I mean, yeah, like you said, once they get the idea to do it, they're not going to stop. You could just try to distract them with like, oh, here's actually a more urgent thing going on. So maybe like I was thinking they could hear someone screaming off in the distance and screaming for help and whatever. But then you got me thinking, what if anytime they deal more than a certain amount of damage to the structure, every either every living creature or every like non-denizen of the house takes a bunch of necrotic damage?
Okay.
So like just like a shockwave goes off and hurts everyone. And the first time they do that,
oh yeah,
they hear a scream somewhere off in the house because they realize someone else in the house is being hurt by them trying to escape.
I like that. Yeah,
okay,
I like
cool.
that a lot. That's really good.
Entering the foyer, you take in a deep breath of musty old air and dusty cobwebs all around you. As your eyes scan the moldering furniture, the claustrophobic halls, and the warped staircase leading to unsafe floors above, you realize something. The door behind you has disappeared. As near as you can tell, you are trapped inside this house. Drawing an axe, the party barbarian charges the nearest wall, cleaving a wedge of rotten wood and torn wallpaper free from its surface. Before you can register the success or failure of this escape attempt, the entire building shudders, undulates, like a living creature squirming in pain. A loud pulse of sickening energy ripples through the building, and you feel your insides clench and spasm. Off in the distance, somewhere, you hear an all too human-sounding scream.
Okay, so that's the first room. They've gotten into there. They've gotten trapped in the building. They may or may not have realized that there is someone else in the building that is in danger. The next room is a puzzle, skill, or role-playing challenge.
Okay.
Do you have any ideas for what that could be?
So haunted house and puzzles makes me think of the video game Seventh Guest. Are you familiar with it at all?
I actually just played most of the Seventh Guest a couple weeks ago. I had a day at work another day where I was sitting around quite a bit, and I have Seventh Guest on my phone. I haven't actually played it. And I didn't get through all of it because a couple of the puzzles in that are real bad, or at least are real frustrating.
Yeah.
But I got through a lot of it.
Yeah. I'm not saying we should use one of those puzzles.
Sure.
Or at least not directly, but like, I definitely draw some inspiration from like a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the one I remember the most is one of the earlier puzzles where you're like swapping pieces of cake around.
Oh yes. You had to
like,
there was a cake and you had to like cut it into specific pieces that each has a certain amount of whatever in it.
Yeah, there's like different toppings in the frosting or whatever,
Yeah.
and you have to like cut it so like each person gets one type of like one piece of each topping.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's such a weird game. It's and there's like live action. There's like actors in it that pop up, and like the acting is just so like
it's so hammy.
It's so hammy. It's so, but like some of the visuals are really creepy and have haunted me. Have haunted me for years.
Okay.
There's like the face that comes out of the cooking pot. That, oh man, that always creeped me out.
Yeah.
A bunch of or even just like there was like you go into a room and there's a piano and then like this ghostly skeleton starts playing on the piano and then it stops and then turns and looks at you and then fades away, and it's just like that. It's like, it's just creepy.
It's pretty cheesy, but it's real good at setting up some horror.
Yeah, that and like the story behind it is like wacky. It's like disturbing. Like oh man, like, oof.
Yeah, I haven't gotten all of the story, but I've gotten bits of it because it's not all in order, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least like you can get some of the scenes out of order.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
At the very least, they didn't make sense to me, so I assumed they were out of order.
Right. Yeah. I feel like there are some things that are kind of like happening simultaneously. So like depending on which room which puzzle you solve first and which room you go in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Anyway. So yeah, as far as like haunted houses and puzzles, all I can think about is swapping around pieces of cake. So maybe it could be like they go into the dining hall and there's something they have to solve there. Like there are like ghostly, there's like a bunch of ghosts at the table or something like that. And you have to like solve some sort of riddle or, like maybe something as silly, like if a little bit more lighthearted it's like, you need to find everybody. You have to put each ghost in the right seat or something. Okay. And if you do it wrong, you have to fight them maybe.
Okay.
So like, I don't know, you have to like learn, maybe you have to learn about each dinner guest.
Okay.
Which maybe you have to go around the house and like find things that have to do with each guest of the house.
Okay.
And then so maybe by doing that, you find out where they're supposed to be seated. But if you do it wrong, maybe something bad happens. Like maybe you have to fight the ghost, or maybe like everybody takes damage. Like the house keeps pulsing that negative energy every time the players do something wrong.
Sure. So maybe like they get into the dining room and each place has like a name on it. And they have to go from room to room to figure out who each of the people were and then get something of theirs and then put it in their appropriate spot.
Sure.
And then when they do, like a ghostly figure appears in that seat.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be slipping into a like Seventh Guest or like Clue style.
I mean, kind of, but hey,
it's like a bunch of people staying in a house to get like a bunch of like the owner of the house has invited all of these guests over, and then they end up dying or something. Like something horrible happens, and then all the dinner guests have died, and so you're trying to figure out how each of them died or something like a whodunit kind of thing. Murder. Okay. It's a murder mystery party. Oh.
I mean, kind of, yeah. I was thinking that once we're done setting up the dungeon, we could do it before then, but I was thinking once we were done, we could actually look at what we've come up with and then think of like, what's the history of this place?
Sure.
What's the hook that gets the players here and so on.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is we don't have to figure out how they all died yet. We can figure that out later.
Yeah. So find out clues of the last guests of the house and try to put some sort of piece of them in each seat that corresponds to where they sat or whatever.
Okay.
Maybe the thing that goes wrong might depend on which one you're doing, or it could just be as generic as like, oh, like everybody takes damage or something.
Yeah. I would hesitate to doing just damage every time, just because like that could get boring,
Sure, yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what else to put in its place just yet.
Right, yeah.
We can come back to that. We can come back to what the consequences are later, or we can leave it up to the DM.
Sure. Yeah, because like if it's just damage over and over again, that's boring. But like there could be some other things, but that might also get tedious. Like, if they get something wrong, like there is something that falls apart in the house, and then like the players have to go and deal with it.
Okay.
So, but if they keep getting it wrong, they might have to like keep running back and forth, and like it's like, okay, oh, we got this wrong. Now we got to go back into the living room and stop the fireplace from going crazy.
Sure.
I don't know. Like different haunts could be happening in response to them getting the place the seating wrong.
Okay.
And then they have to go and deal with it. But maybe by the end, because they know how to deal with each one, they can be like, okay, you go, like, crap, we got this one wrong. Okay, you go and run and deal with the fireplace. We know how to handle that one.
Sure.
Like, that kind of thing.
In the dining room, a lavishly appointed table sits collecting dust. 8 settings, 3 on each side, 1 at the head and 1 at the foot, each bear a different placard indicating who was set to sit there, back before the incident that doomed this house of fear to its current state.
So the next room is a setback or red herring. Can you think of anything that would be good for that? Like we had, we just proposed that like players would have to go around to different rooms to look for clues. It could be something that's part of that. Could be that in one of the rooms there is a clue that is incorrect, or maybe they find something that they think is going to circumvent the puzzle, or maybe they think they found an exit, but then that exit turns out to not actually be an exit.
Sure.
Like if it's a big mansion, my mind always goes to like dumbwaiters.
Okay.
So maybe they find a dumbwaiter, and then maybe there's some sort of an indication that like, oh, we could use this to escape, or we could use this to get past. We could use this to get to the basement or whatever.
Yeah. There might be a cellar door or something that they can maybe get out through.
Okay.
But could end up that there's some nasty stuff down there or something.
Okay. So how about maybe whatever the hook is that gets them into the adventure, they know that they're trying to get into the cellar.
Okay.
So maybe they know that they know where the cellar door is. They know that the cellar is locked, and they're told that like, oh, maybe the master of the house will have the key, knowing of course that the master of the house is dead or died, whatever. And so they're trying to get all of the guests together so that it will attract the ghost of the master of the house, and then the master of the house will open up the door to the cellar.
Yeah.
But then maybe they find this dumbwaiter and they're like, well, shoot, we can just use this to get to the basement.
Cool. Okay, yeah.
But it's a red herring or a setback. So what happens when they climb inside the dumbwaiter?
Ooh. Yeah, I'm trying to think about what would be the setback. Because it's like, yeah, I think the idea of a dumbwaiter is it's used mostly for things like sending food up to the bedroom or something like that.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe they use it to like move like a laundry chute sort of situation. I don't know if that's if it's specifically just for food and stuff like that.
Sure. That's a good question. I think traditionally it would be just from wherever the food is prepared to upstairs or whatever. But so no reason it couldn't also be used like that.
Yeah, so it could lead down, but it leads down to like the kitchen where there's like a nasty like a nasty cook zombie or something. Okay. But like it is in a lower level, but there's like a door that goes from the kitchen to the cellar that is also locked. So it's just another dead end, but sure. But because they've tried to attempt to find another way around, they actually get penalized by having to fight this like butcher or something, some like zombie butcher or something like that.
Okay.
So like, yeah, maybe, they think they found another way in, but it ends up being just basically a trap.
Okay. Here's an alternate idea. One thing that came to mind is in the game Dark Souls.
What game is that?
In the game Dark Souls, there's this dungeon that you go through like maybe a third of the way through the game that is full of traps. And there's a point where there's these parts where you use elevators to get from one spot to another. And the elevators are automated, like they're constantly moving up and down, and you just got to hop on. And then when it goes up, you hop off. And there's one of them in particular that is covered in blood. I'm pretty sure there's like blood all in front of it too.
Uh-huh.
And when you hop into it, it goes up. And if you don't get off immediately, it continues going up where there are spikes and you die.
Yeah.
So I was thinking possibly maybe like there's scorch marks on the bottom of the dumbwaiter or something.
Oh,
and if
sure.
One of the players tries to take it down, it gets hotter and hotter. And if they keep going, eventually it leads to the furnace rather than to the, wherever it would go.
Sure. Yeah.
But I do really like the idea of there being of there being a zombie in the kitchen that is waiting for them.
Right. Yeah. He's like still making food or something like that, but it's all like out, using like rotted, like very far gone ingredients.
Sure.
Just because he's basically just been like preparing food for his entire undeath.
There you go. Let's actually combine these two ideas. They initially can't get into the kitchen. They can get to the dining room, but the door from the dining room to the kitchen is locked. And similarly, if they attack it, negative energy, everybody gets hurt. They find the dumbwaiter on the second floor, and they figure, oh, that'll take us down to the kitchen. If they take it down to the kitchen, there's a zombie chef. And then if they're like, well, wait a minute, we're trying to get to the basement. Let's see if we can take this thing even further down.
Sure.
And then they get down there, and it's just fire everywhere. The cake is a lie.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, cool.
I like it.
Awesome.
Scrounging around the second floor of Metronome Manor, an unexpected sight greets you. A hatch about chest level opens to a small platform, raised and lowered into the kitchen below by a nearby pulley. If someone tried hard enough, they just might be able to squeeze in and lower themselves down. But what might be awaiting them when they get there?
So that's room 3, the setback, a red herring. The fourth one is the boss fight.
Okay.
A small little spoiler here. I had an idea for what the climactic confrontation could be for this long before we started recording, but I was like, I'm not going to bring that up. But then you said something that makes it totally appropriate.
Okay.
And I was thinking, because you were saying, what if the house is alive? My idea was, what if they get into the basement and there is a giant beating heart?
Sure, yeah.
So there's some sort of a fight with a giant heart, possibly additionally, whatever. I don't know if we necessarily want to get into actual stats or CRs or anything, but
right, yeah.
Come up with some sort of a golem or something, or some animated whatever to be the heart itself. It's got a bunch of minions that rise up around it. Maybe the corpses of all of the guests that were in the, back in the dining room or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, so they just kind of fight this giant beating heart in the basement.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so now I'm thinking because they've done all the work to like learn about the guests, and then like they've gotten like a token of each guest and put them in the place on the in the dining room, and I think so. Like the idea is like maybe that like each one that they got wrong set off something in another part of the house.
Okay.
So maybe that other part of the house indicates that how and where that person died in the house.
Okay.
So somebody was pushed into the fireplace and they died.
Yeah.
So they are, so that's when, if they got that one wrong or maybe when they got that one right, I don't know, have it be triggered somehow. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Every time they put it down, every time they put the thing in a seat, it triggers that haunt. So the hope is that they only have to do it once, right? So if they get it in the right seat, the haunt still goes off, but they got it in the right seat, they don't have to do it again.
Okay.
But the idea is like, if there's 8 seats and they just kind of guess and they get it all, they put it in all 8 seats to find out which one's the right one. They have to go deal with that haunt 8 times.
Sure.
So yeah, each guest died in a different way, different room or whatever. And so now they have to fight the bodies of the guests who are all protecting this heart. And each guest needs to be dealt with having to do with the way that they died. So the guy who got pushed in a fireplace, maybe you have to use fire, or maybe you have to use like the opposite of fire or something like that. Maybe because like now his body's all scorched and stuff, so he has fire resistance.
Sure.
So you have to use, water,
I
don't know, water or ice or something. You might just have to like dump some water on him. Like, okay, cool. You dealt with them. So it's so you have to, you have to deal damage in a specific way for each guest or something like that. Or you could brute force it, which is what I like, which is a cool thing about second edition Pathfinder. I know we keep bringing this up because this is what we're playing lately. Is that like there are there are monsters they'll either do it where they have a bunch of resistances, but a very small amount of hit points.
Right.
And so like the idea is like you have to fight through the resistances to kill them. So it's kind of like, you're dealing less damage because they have so many resistances. So it's like they have more hit points than they actually do. But if you find the thing that they're not resistant to or that they're weak to, you can kill them pretty easily.
Sure.
Or there's the opposite way where they have a lot of hit points, but like maybe like maybe one or two weaknesses. So like, you can just brute force it and just keep hitting and hitting and hitting, and you will eventually kill them. But if you knew, they're weak to fire, you just use fire, and that way you can basically cut down their hit points faster. So like,
sure.
And I think the one with the low hit points, I think the idea is that they most probably more have like immunities to where like, yes, like more than likely you're just not going to be able to do damage, but when you figure out how to deal damage, they're done easy, real quick.
Okay.
So like maybe these zombies have like immunities to most things except for the thing that did kill them.
Sure.
So yeah, like in this case, yeah, like you'd be like, okay, this is so and so. He's the guy who died in the fire. Hit him with fire, and like they hit him, and then like the mage uses a firebolt, and it is highly effective, and he's able to get him down in a couple hits.
Sure. And, again, I don't think we're going to get into actual stats in this, so you can kind of stat it out however you want. But I would, of course, recommend that because it is presumably going to be a whole bunch of them, or at least, 6, 7, 8, something like that of them, maybe make them deal fairly low damage. Also, if you did want to run this as a fairly low-level adventure, maybe make it, if you attack them with whatever they're weak against, it's just one-hit kills.
Right. Yeah. Like it is a sort of yes or no sort of thing. Like, maybe have the option of sort of brute forcing it. So like if there is like a fighter in the group or something and he just wants to go for it, like that, maybe it'll take a few rounds, but they can do it just so that like, if they can't quite figure it out, they're not going to be stuck. They're not screwed,
Sure.
So there's still a way to do it. There's still a way to just brute force it if you can, if they got the resources, if the players just really want to just go for it, that give them that option.
Sure. And of course, there's a couple ways of doing the heart. Maybe the heart is unkillable until all of the zombies are killed.
Right.
So like its life force is tied to theirs somehow, or it can be killed. It's easier to kill the more of them are dead. So like if you've killed half of the party guests, maybe it's relatively weak. So if you do just focus fire on the heart, it'll die, and then the rest of the zombies will just die.
Right. Could be, you could do a thing where, it's like they're protected. It's protected as long as the zombies are alive, but whenever you kill a zombie, it deals that zombie's hit point, like, max hit points to the heart kind of thing.
Ooh, I like that.
So yeah, you're basically like, it's not every hit you do on the zombies does damage to the heart, but it's like once you kill that zombie, it'll do a chunk of damage to that heart. Mm-hmm. So you could see make it be like visible, like, oh wow, we dealt damage to the heart by doing that.
Oh, the aorta just shriveled up and fell off.
So they know like, oh, we have to defeat the zombies to kill the heart or whatever.
Sure.
And then maybe make it so like once all the zombies are dead, the heart's still alive, but you got to make, one final blow to it to make it dramatic or something.
Sure. That works.
With the rusty old key in hand, you open the door to the cellar and climb down the cold stone stairs to the chamber below. A torch on the wall ignites of its own accord as you feel the pulse once more. And in the cellar, your breath catches in your throat as you see its source. A giant heart, larger than a person, attached to the floor and ceiling and beating with the rhythm of the sickening pulse. And if this weren't enough to make your blood run cold, you see 8 figures, spirits rising from the ground and taking solid form, turn towards you and start walking. Roll initiative.
Okay, so they've defeated the giant heart. All of the dinner guests are dead again.
Yeah.
What can you think of as far... So I just want to say, although the 5-room dungeon, the 5th room is reward or twist, I always prefer twist.
Sure.
I will always make there be a twist.
Right, like have there be rewards like, okay, you're gonna get experience and some magic items or something, and like the reward of a job well done.
Of course.
But yeah, having a twist is always preferable.
Sure. So can you think of what the twist might be?
There's always oh, you destroyed this evil thing, but that evil thing was actually just the seal of something worse.
Okay.
It's like, okay, you've killed this monster, but that monster was guarding this bigger was guarding the jail of this bigger monster.
Yeah. I'll pitch an idea, possibly in conjunction with that. Whoever deals the finishing blow on the heart becomes the new master of the house.
Ooh.
So, like, to an extent, the house is still supernatural in some way, and now it is like the player has some measure of control over the house.
That's really cool. Okay, yeah. Oh, and that could be the way to give your players like a base of operations.
Oh man, we did it. That's awesome.
There it is.
That's so good.
That's really cool. And it like the house changes itself to fit sort of the style of the person who like, because the guy who was the original master, he was sort of like this sort of crazy evil guy that like, he wanted a big fancy mansion and have guests over or something.
Yeah.
But there could be a added curse to it where like you have to like, it does sort of require, there's like maybe a blood sacrifice requirement element or something that maybe they have to figure out how to get around.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, yeah, they might find out that like, we have this cool new base of operations, but it's hungry. Like,
sure. And then if they want to be rid of that curse, there is a bigger thing that it was tied to, and they have to go and they have to find a bigger house, and they have to kill the heart that is in that house.
Right? No, they have to find the house that bit this house.
Sure.
Yeah, and stab it with a silver key. Like, I don't know.
Okay. But so I mean, seriously speaking, like if they do want to be rid of this will then lead as the hook to the next quest, which will be to find how to stop the curse that they are now a part of. Or if they're okay with having to do a little blood sacrifice every now and then, free house.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like maybe they find a way, like just like the bad guys that they fight or something like that. Like they house their souls in the house, and now they're like servants within the house.
Okay.
Or they're like upgrades for the house.
Jeff, that's such a cool idea.
Right?
Like they kill like an orc chieftain, and now the soul of the orc chieftain is their butler.
Right.
Or the house becomes beefier and just stronger.
Right. So instead of like having a town that they frequent to like get upgrades and things like that, like, so they might go and collect souls that then do things for them within the house. So now they have like, like they fight a guy who was, like a weapons master or something like that. And then now they have this guy who's like now part of the house has like a forge in it, has like a blacksmith, like like the basement now is like, there's like coal and like a smelter, like a a smeltery, I don't know, a forge or whatever.
A forge. Foundry. Jeff, this is so cool. Now I wish that I could strike this from everybody's memory so that I could run this.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
That is really cool. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So like, they might find enemies that they killed that they was like, wait, this, maybe this would be good for their house. Let's see, let's see what this does. And like, some might be beneficial, some might not be so beneficial. Like it might not be so straightforward what they would get out of it. So they might need to like pick and choose. Like if we're gonna steal this guy's soul and put it in our house, do we really want this? Like, are we gonna be able to handle it? So it might, or it might not just be their enemies. It might be like they might find a poor lost soul that they want to give, like that doesn't have a purpose, is sort of wandering around the material plane and doesn't want to move on yet. So like, oh well, you can come to our house. It houses spirits of the of the dead, and you'll you might find, peace there or something.
Sure. And like you could do a little bit of work to make it a little bit less sinister sounding. It's not that it's like capturing part of their soul. Like maybe it's just like a little waiting place for souls that don't want to move on just yet.
Or maybe that's a way to atone for their sins or whatever. Kind of thing. Where it's like okay, we've defeated this evil guy and like but now we need to help clear their soul of all their sins or something like that, so we can bring them to this house and do that, I guess, by having them wait our tables or something.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, maybe do away with that part, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, but there's a lot of room there for
yes.
For a bunch of different stuff.
And then here's a cool thing: if a party member dies, they could visit the house. Like they could visit the house as a spirit.
Oh, sure, yeah. So there's a way to keep the character around.
Yeah. Or an NPC, if a beloved NPC dies.
Yep. So like if a player character dies, but they want to like roll a new one, they can still keep the old character around as a ghost or something.
Sure.
Or if they want to keep the character going and like bring them back to life, that's at least a way for them to like interact with them.
Oh yeah.
While they're finding a way to bring them back to life, they could be like, "Oh,
sure.
hey Jim, sorry about that." Yeah, I know I rolled really low on that. I'm sorry. Like,
yep.
What are you gonna do?
Right. Yeah, that's really cool. So I had been thinking like, maybe we could come up with like what some of the NPCs are in and around this place. Do you want to do that, or do you want to leave them more just up to whoever is going to be running it?
I guess we could kind of leave it up, but I mean, like, we just come up with like some generic ideas. Like I said, like there's like maybe each character has some way that they died or something like that.
Okay.
So I don't know. Like you can change the theme of it too. I guess it doesn't have to be like a Clue style.
Sure.
Thing. It doesn't have to be so. What is that? It's like gothic genre or something like that.
I think so.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be exactly that, but I just the idea I'm just thinking in the characters of Clue, like
Sure.
Colonel Mustard and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we got the professor. He's wearing a purple suit.
Yes, right. Yep.
Played by Christopher Lloyd.
Right. So I feel like you can use that as a building off point.
Sure.
You could be like, okay, just you have these different characters and then have them die in a different way so that you can correspond their, whatever.
Sure. Do you want to maybe just take a moment and come up with how let's say 8 people died, so as to give ideas to whoever might be running this?
Yeah, we can come up with some ideas. The guy maybe was pushing the fireplace, so needs fire damage to take care of.
Maybe there was a person who was stabbed by the chef's knife, so like piercing or slashing damage.
Right.
So let's say piercing or slashing damage for that one. Maybe someone was killed in a hunting accident, so they have to be killed by a ranged weapon.
Sure. Yeah, and maybe like in the cellar fight, there might be, maybe have all of the things available.
Okay.
In the cellar, so like that way that the players can, like, if they didn't bring it, they can at least find it in, like, they can find a way to improvise it.
Yeah, maybe like for the fire, there's the if there, maybe there could be a furnace, but also maybe there's like if they eventually got they solved the puzzle before and they found a staircase leading down, there's like a torch in the staircase that is lit.
Sure. Yeah. Poisoned.
Ooh, poison. Yes, I love it.
Somebody could have been like, somebody's food could have been poisoned, or like the wine or something was poisoned.
Okay. This is really sounding like the chef is the one behind a lot of this.
maybe. Yeah, so like maybe there's like a cask of that wine.
Ooh, okay.
Still in the cellar.
Sure.
So like, somebody could dip their weapon in that and hit him with it. So it's because they got the poison in there.
Sure. I'm going to say poison or acid. They have to be killed by poison or acid just in case somebody's like, oh, but they're zombie, or they're undead or whatever. They can't be poison or whatever.
Sure. Yeah. Just so there's not that that like if somebody might have that thought and then go, wait, but zombies can't be poisoned, and then they won't think of it the whole time, and then finally you go, it's poison, guys, come on.
Sure. I like the idea of there being twins, and the twins were both killed the same way.
Sure. Okay.
Trying to look at like what types of damage we haven't used yet. Maybe like something big fell on them.
Sure.
Like there was like a gargoyle on top that fell and crushed both of them.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you gotta use like bludgeoning damage or drop something heavy on them or something.
Sure.
There's like a chandelier. There's like a would it be a chandelier? They're just like are all hanging like not all hanging light fixtures are called chandeliers.
I mean, I think they are. I could be wrong.
I don't know. Because the one thing I'm picturing in my head is basically a giant wheel with candles on it. You know.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I actually don't know if that is called a chandelier or not.
Yeah, I don't know, but something like there might be something like that. You can like cut a rope and it falls on them or something.
Sure,
I don't know.
Sure. Okay, so I got to come up with 2 more methods of death.
Of death. I mean, it would be easy to just kind of go down the different damage types and just do that, but like I feel like some of them need to be more like I feel like you need to be more specific. Like if we're gonna have the option of them just being able to hit them, like just like brute force them down.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the 1-hit kill being a little bit harder to get.
Okay.
Like it's because it'll be. I feel like it'll be a little bit more rewarding that way because it's like it's like, oh, they died this way. We have to do this. Like maybe some of them will be easy where it is just like, I'll hit them with fire. Fine.
Yeah.
But like maybe the twins. Ooh, maybe the twins have to be bludgeoned within the same round.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
So like if you bludgeon them and they go down and it'll go down. And you'd be like, oh, cool, it's bludgeoning damage. That makes sense. They got hit by whatever. And then, but you don't hit the other one right away. The first one gets up again.
Okay.
And so like, yeah, maybe it'll be like, okay, you have to do bludgeoning damage, but you got to like, you have to basically do it. 2 people have to you be using bludgeoning damage.
Sure.
To knock them down in the same round.
Then, so let's say like each of them has a weakness that maybe just deals double damage, or if it's Pathfinder, it just deals extra damage. But there is a specific way of administering that kills them instantly. The guy that's weak to fire, you have to actually push him into the furnace.
Right. He has to be shoved. Yeah, he has to be shoved into a fire or furnace or something. Yeah.
And then maybe they can find the chef's knife in the hand of the zombie chef.
Oh, yes.
And if they kill the guy with that.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Cool.
And then hunting. How would you do a hunting accident?
Maybe there is like grounds that they can go out into, but I don't know. Maybe there's like a courtyard or something to find something in the courtyard that they can kill.
Oh, I see what you're
something.
Saying. Okay.
Yeah, like maybe they go into the courtyard and they find like I'm thinking like they find a rifle. It's like okay, then maybe there's not going to be firearms.
He was killed by the master of the house and they were out hunting, and the master of the house has like a hunting cap that he wears.
Sure.
So if you're wearing that, and then kill him with a ranged attack.
Yeah, or maybe he's got like a specific like crossbow or something like that.
Maybe in the we haven't really talked much about the specific rooms, but maybe there's like the trophy room, and in there is a crossbow above the mantle or whatever, and if you use that to kill him,
right? Yeah.
Okay. Rather than in the basement, there's just like, I don't know, a set of darts or something.
Right. Yeah.
Then, what about the poisoned or acidified one?
Oh well, yeah, that one I think is like there's the cask of wine or something there that they can.
Oh, okay. So any acid will deal extra damage, but if they use that particular poison, it just kills them instantly.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and it could be as easy as them just dipping their weapon in the wine and then stabbing them with it or something like that.
Okay. Cool. Jeff, I'm loving this adventure. I'm having so much fun with this episode. Do we want to leave it at 6? We've got 6 so far. Do we want to leave it at 6 or do we want to increase it to 8?
Let's try to think of something. Let's try to think of 2 more.
Okay.
So we got, chandelier fall or something fell on the gargoyle or whatever fell on the twins. Fire, poison, the hunting accident.
There could be like someone was choked to death.
Sure. Maybe choked or hung or something.
But then how would that
hung over the banister? How would they?
Trying to think, because like I'm trying to think of things that would be like, oh, a player would think to do this to a zombie. Unless we want to just say that they're not zombies.
Right. Well, they're. I mean, like, yeah. Like, I guess you would want to flavor them in a way that they're like. I mean, they're not going to be stat wise exactly zombies. You might give them a little something beefier than that. And like maybe they won't look like zombies, so it's not like, oh, people aren't going to metagame the zombie stuff.
Sure.
Too hard. Like obviously they'll be like undead, maybe, but
maybe they look like ghosts when they first get summoned, and then they turn solid. They turn into like flesh and blood, like apparently living creatures.
Yeah.
Just under the thrall of this giant heart.
Right. Yeah. Like in the presence of the heart, they've become corporeal and and attack.
Jeff, this is so good.
So it could be somebody was like one of them's choked, so maybe like they have to like grapple it or something.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. That's it right there. Okay.
So if they can grapple it for a round or two or something, it just chokes out and dies.
Okay, and then if they do that with a rope,
they
just die in one round.
Right. What's another good way to kill a person?
Well, shoot, what else was in Clue? So we've got the lead pipe. I mean, they're basically all bludgeoning damage.
Well, it's mostly bludgeoning weapons, and it's like you got like a revolver, knife.
Do we want to say there were 7 and then the master of the house?
Sure.
Okay, so like 3 on either side of the table, 1 at the head of the table, 1 at the end of the table.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the master of the house, maybe he... I was going to say maybe he took his own life. And then maybe he's holding a weapon when you encounter him. And you have to take... The way to kill him in one shot is to take his weapon and then use it against him.
Ooh. Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, because maybe he eventually killed himself because he didn't want to be tied to this house anymore or something like that.
There you go.
But it just made him more attached to the house.
Yeah.
Kind of backfired there. So yeah, he's like, I hate this house. I need to kill it. Like, I'm tired of being part of this house. I just want to die. And then he ends up part of the house even more.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a great idea for an adventure. That doesn't sound awesome.
If you're able to disarm him and use his weapon against him, then yeah, that'll be a one shot.
Sure. Okay. Cool. I mean that's basically like that's more than I had envisioned that we would come up with. That's like there's so much good stuff with this. Yep. Would you say are there any magic items that you could think of that would fit into this adventure particularly well? I mean the magic house is a pretty big one, I guess.
Right, yeah. And like there are, because it's like a big house or something like that, you can fill it out with all different types of rooms and stuff like that. Maybe, it's like we could spend all night, describing each room, but like
right.
But I feel like you can get creative with the actual shape and, style of the house.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously like the items that were used in the killings could be magical in their own way. So like that crossbow could be could be magical in some way. The dagger that the master killed himself with could be, magic in some way. I mean, maybe they're also cursed to an extent. Like maybe when you find, I was gonna say when you find them, they're cursed, but then after everything's done, they're uncursed.
Sure. Maybe.
But then that might make them reluctant to actually use them.
That's true, yeah. I would just say like maybe after the encounter's over, all of the items that were used, if they use any of them to kill the things, they become magical.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Where like they are rewarded for figuring it out.
Okay.
Not only by they get to one shot this the zombie or whatever.
Yeah.
Now that item that they used is magical, and maybe it is magical suited towards the both the thing that they used it on and the person who used it.
Oh, okay.
So like the ranger picks up the crossbow and they're like, okay, I'll hang on to it. It's a crossbow. I'm a ranger, whatever. And then they're like, oh, okay. Then they figure out, oh, we need to kill them with the thing that they were killed with. We found out that this guy died in a hunting accident and this was found in the trophy room. I'm going to use this. Ranger shoots the crossbow. And then now he's got a magic crossbow that has some sort of effect that suits that character specifically.
Okay.
Like it could just be as easy as like, oh, okay, now it's just a +1 crossbow. Cool. Now he's going to use crossbows, but it might be like, suited to the player more specifically, I'd say.
Sure. Yeah, I think we came up with some great stuff for this.
Yeah, not bad.
So yeah, I think that'll do it. I think I think we came up with enough. I think that's so awesome. I would love to run this. I just don't know when I'll have an opportunity.
Right. Yeah, this sounds like a pretty fun one.
Do you happen to have a name for? Do you have any idea what we should call this?
The spooky house.
The spooky house of horrors.
Yeah. No. Something to do with like a pulse. Or
okay. I mean, the Telltale Heart is already taken.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe, because especially if it was that this guy killed all of his guests and then regretted it.
Okay.
It could be.
Well, yeah. Well, I was thinking like because like the whole thing like that. Whenever there's like that wave of damage.
Yeah.
It's like it is like a throbbing pulse.
Oh, sure.
So it is sort of like the heart like pumping. To like deal damage to everything.
Sure.
So it could have something to do with that, like a drumming, or because maybe the locals refer to this house as the thumping manor or something like that. I don't know.
Sure.
So it's some sort of like when I think of something like a haunted mansion or something like that, it's like a house on the hill, but like what would the village down below, the people in the village would call it something. They would refer to it as something. They give it like a some sort of folklore name.
Yeah, so maybe like the hook, one of the hooks for this adventure is that there's this house, it's been on this hill, it's been abandoned for a long time after the previous owner took his own life, and maybe like one day people start hearing in the middle of the night, they start hearing a pulse coming from the house.
Yeah. So,
I don't know if I have a good title for it then. I guess maybe the Telltale Pulse instead of the Telltale Heart.
What's can I call it? Like, I don't know, like the throbbing mansion.
Yeah, I don't know. Not that.
I'm just in a thesaurus. Let's see. Agitate, alternate, bob, bounce, buffet, flat, flicker, fluctuate, flutter, heave, jerk, jounce, oscillate.
How about just like the pulsing manor?
Yeah, something like that.
Pulsing manor, I think, is the best one I can think of so far.
I almost want to give it like more of like a musical thing to it. So like maybe there could be like a musical theme throughout somewhere. That way it's sort of misdirecting a little bit. So because like the players might focus on the musical aspect of it.
Okay.
And not realize like, oh no, this is like, not that it's like going to be a big like, oh, it had nothing to do with music. It was a heartbeat or something. But it's just sort of like a little bit of misdirection.
How about Metronome Manor?
Ooh.
And like that's what it's actually had this like rhythmic beating sound for a long time. And so people, they're just like, yeah, I don't know why it does it, but we just call that Metronome Manor because every so often on the full moon or whatever, it just sounds like a metronome.
Oh, they might just call it the metronome or something.
Sure.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm cool with that if you are.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Awesome. So Metronome Manor. I think we came up with some awesome stuff in there, Jeff. Good job.
Yeah. Nice.
The heart has been destroyed, the denizens slain for the second time. For once, Metronome Manor lays silent, still. But just as you begin to pack up and leave, your job completed, you begin to feel a rhythm, a pulse, once more. Hesitant to believe it, you eventually realize the pulse is your own heartbeat. Having slain the master of the house, the dawning realization hits you. The house has a new master. The house is yours, and the house needs to be fed.
So that'll do it for our regular questions for today. But we do still have our social media questions. Our last social media question, which I did not plan ahead, so it is not horror themed at all. Your character is going on vacation. Where are they going and what are they doing? Do you recall what you said, Jeff?
No. What did I say?
I don't even remember. It was so long ago because we took that week off.
Oh, right. Dang. I don't remember at all.
Yeah. I think I said my character keeps almost dying, so she goes anywhere and does literally anything.
Yeah.
She's going to Metronome Manor.
Right. Oh, no. No. Don't do that.
Well, so we got, I mean, we don't need to, whatever. People can
Right.
go back and listen to our responses on a previous
Sure.
episode. We got a few responses. We actually did get responses on Facebook for this one. I still haven't figured out what the heck is going on with our Facebook, but I don't know. It seems like at least some people were able to respond. So Dan W. says, after 3 years adventuring all over Faerun, Bruin, which actually is his character from Brute Force and Ignorance, Bruin would honestly invite his party and loved ones to his homestead in the Neverwinter Woods, chill in the forest, listen to Flint the Barbarian play some tunes, and cook everyone a slap-up meal so they could all pass out in front of the fire in a food coma. Bliss. That actually has a different connotation after the episode we just did today.
Uh-huh.
Inviting all your friends over for a meal.
Right.
But, hey, pretty good. Ryan P. says, Faerith Drakeheart will return home to the Feywild. So going on vacation back home. Pretty
Sure.
good. Darren W. says, Malik heard Faerun is nice in the spring, but thinking Barovia could be worth a rustic look. I believe that is the area from Curse of Strahd.
Oh, okay.
So not a vacation at all, I think is the
No,
lesson here.
no.
And then Sean M. says, Pusher is probably finding a less scummy but still seedy back alley in which to gamble and grift. Doing what you love. That's what you got to do. We didn't get any on Twitter. On Reddit, we just got one. Alistar the Minotaur says, my Starfinder android Echo X9 would travel to some sort of mathematics symposium or conference. Bonus points if it also dealt with interplanetary or space propulsion physics. He would attend every lecture he could and would pay inhuman amounts of attention to each presenter. Yeah, hey, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Yeah.
And over on Discord, Stiltskin Kupo 84 says, anywhere but work. I feel you. He is a co-worker of mine.
Yeah.
Debrasor says, to the plane of infinite pleasures. At least, that's where the merchant told her the puzzle cube would take her. Wolfpack Nate says, to the Fight Pit Championships if it was Alvard. That was his character from the our Roll20 game.
Nice.
The Beverage Tea says, gnome characters are kind of like me in the sense that they don't need vacations since they space out with awesome thoughts throughout the day. So physical vacations lose some of their appeal. The half-orc cleric would probably go on a bender in Sin City. I actually just went to Sin City, Las Vegas, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Floofy Shoob says, adventuring is my character's vacation. He already knows every inch of his private dimension because he designed it himself. Got to get out of there and see the world in case you find something new you want to add to your collection. And yeah, so that'll do it for our questions for this week. Thank you, everybody who wrote in. So before we close out, let's wind down. Let's relax. Let's take a deep breath. What was that?
What?
Did you hear that?
What was it?
I don't know. I probably put in some sort of a sound effect. I don't know, maybe a wolf or something off in the distance. I don't know. Anyway, let's ignore those creepy sounds off in the distance as we remember those who came before us, who gave their lives that we may have a better world to live in, as we toss another log onto the funeral pyre. Today's funeral pyre is actually a little bit of a long one, but I think it's a good one. Submitted by Lupicorn via Reddit. I was playing a monk in both senses of the word. He was a recruit to a monastery that was really a front for a demonic possession ring. They were taught that through faith and physical training, monks could redeem even the worst of devils and demons. Each monk was branded with a goetic seal and took their evil entity's name for their own. My character was too ignorant to realize this before his monastery was razed by a mysterious force. Throughout the campaign, he would gather more and more knowledge about his monastic order and eventually figured out what was probably their true intent. This didn't deter him. He continued his prayers and his training, trying his hardest to show his devil the beauty of virtue. His end came when another PC's arc involved helping evacuate refugee elves from a red dragon attack. Their allies were treants, horribly flammable. As their numbers continued to dwindle, he made the ultimate sacrifice and gave his body over to the devil he had been calling out to for years. The Ice Devil, now trapped in a hopeless situation, dueled the dragon long enough for everyone to evacuate, dying shortly after. However, the monk was wearing a ring of mind shielding. As they died, the two were trapped in the ring, lost in the burning forest. Until the monk's willpower gives out, he is trapped in an eternal winter hellscape by the devil who knows him like they know themselves. So yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. So I guess let's raise a glass in memory of this monk character as we tell them, it's getting cold. It's sweater weather. Clink. All right, that'll do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Hoard, or stories for the Funeral Pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. For show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. Join the discussion on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Reddit, we're on our Interparty Discord, we're on Twitter @InPartyConflict. Check those out for our weekly social media questions. Your answers might end up on the show. You can find us on the podcatcher of your choice, iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you download podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe, or just tell a friend. If you want to support the show monetarily, you don't have to, but you can. We only have a $1 tier up on our Patreon now, but we did just put up our third Halloween actual play up there. So if you want to listen to Jeff, Skylar, and Peter get lost in some sort of a labyrinth, you can get that for only $1 a month, and you'll help out keeping the show hosted and so on for the foreseeable future. And we really appreciate it. Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is a YouTube channel where you can watch us play video games.
There you go. Also, head over to bit.ly/interpartyconflict to take a short survey about our show. It's really just one question. What's your favorite memory from the show? And if you take it, you'll get 2 free printable board games courtesy of the great people over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hacker's RPG. So, Jeff, until next time.
Well, Gabe, I think this episode had a lot of heart.